number 1 with Blue White Spirits against Jack Fogle and his kind of different take on Bant Company here. Going to be our first real opportunity, I think, to see Elder Deep Fiend this weekend.
And I think if Spirits is a deck, it does have the potential to take some sting out of Collected Company, the card. Because between Spell Queller and Mausoleum Wanderer, I think you're very well set up to fight over 4-mana spells. So if Spirits takes off, we might see a little bit less of Collected Company as a response to that.
Well, it looks as though Jeff is on 6 cards, and Jack is taking a mulligan down to 5 right now. So we'll see if he can find a 5-card hand and overcome these issues he's had thus far. Really interested to see this Spirits deck in action here from both players. Jeff is going to scry and keep his card to the top. Jack is going to scry, put his card to the bottom. And here we go. It's a Prairie Stream to start.
So Jeff's build is going a little bit bigger than I think the all-cheap Spirit, low-curve deck that people were sort of anticipating. 3 main deck copies of Ojutai's Command, 4 main deck copies of Archangel Avacyn.
Prairie Stream right at the top of the deck. Onto the battlefield there for Jeff. He knew that was there, so nothing to do on the first couple turns of the game.
Even 1 main deck copy of Scatter to the Wind. So he is trying to play a big flash game here.
Yeah.
But he still has some of the cheaper threats in cards like Mausoleum Wanderer, Rattle Chain, Selfless Spirit, and so forth.
And speaking with Jeff, he's got a real love for Archangel Avacyn in this deck. He's playing 4 copies of that awesome card. There's a Lumbering Falls from Jack. The planes for Jeff, he'll pass the turn back, so not a lot of action thus far as we head back over to Jack Fogle.
Jack also with 4 main deck copies of Spell Queller this weekend. I think this is a card that people anticipated that Bant Collected Company decks would be incorporating. Plays the flash game well, and also is a nice thing to hit off of Collected Company in certain spots.
Jeff of the Port Town reveals an island, simply going to pass the turn back. You also kind of get these Spell Queller wars where both players are just going to leave up mana, hoping to actually Spell Queller something. Now here is an Ojutai's Command from Jeff. Maybe gain a little life, draw a card. And kind of an expensive Renewed Faith, sort of ish.
That can be countered by, say, a Spell Queller.
Yeah. Maybe Jeff wants this to be countered by a Spell Queller. All right, here's a Collected Company in response. Jack's window is open. He'll take a look at the top 6, hopefully take 2 with him, put him on the battlefield. We'll find out in just a moment. He's found 2.
I believe a Nissa and a Spell Queller. He's pulled forward. Some other options there, Reflector Mage, but nothing on Hoogland's side of the battlefield to bounce.
Yep, there is Nissa, there is Spell Queller. All right. Well, that answers that.
A lot of value off that Collected Company.
Yeah, no kidding. An island, 5 mana, Planar Outburst. Jeff would like his Ojutai's Command back, thank you.
Okay.
And he's going to gain 4 draw. Planar Outburst, 2 copies in the main deck here for Jeff. Jeff has not even shown the Spirit side of his deck yet.
No. Jeff's deck is playing with 1-mana creatures.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look that way.
Yep. Looks like it might just be a blue-white control deck right now to Jack. That's not actually true. Let's see what this is. File Emissary. Jeff's going to take a look. We can do the same for the new card.
This is not the most elegant design. It does specifically call out when you sacrifice Foul Emissary while casting a spell with Emerge. Sort of dampen some of the feeling of exploration that Magic allows you to have sometimes. But I think if you are doing the Emerge thing, this is a great enabler. Helps find a creature. Great thing to sacrifice. You know, it's got the Pilgrim's Eye mana cost to value sort of thing going on. Not a smooth design.
No.
But if you're trying to do the thing, this is really good at letting you do the thing.
Well, he just found an Elder Deep Fiend to do the thing.
It's combo too.
That is.
Yeah. It's almost like R&D intended those 2 cards to be played together.
Yeah, maybe. So there is Elder Deep Fiend. I think we're going to have to get used to seeing this one. I think across multiple formats, honestly.
Yep. I mean, Emerge is the type of mechanic that scales up in older formats because you start finding your Mirror Enforcers and Allosaurus Rider type of cards with weird casting costs that are easy to cheat into play.
Jeff just going to play another Port Town and simply pass the turn back. So now we have a real weird game of almost chicken where, all right, Jeff, you know that I have Elder Deep Fiend. You know that's a thing that I can do. And Jeff does have an Oach-sized commander saying he's also got a Spell Queller. He also has an Archangel Avacyn. What kind of move does he want to make here if he wants to make one at all? Right now he's just going to take one.
Well, he knows that Fogle can simply respond by emerging the Elder Deep Fiend. So there's not a whole lot for Jeff to do here other than just take his lumps and try to set up a hand that can play over the top.
And Jeff picked up a copy of Clash of Wills. Yeah, he's just trying to play like a blue-white flash deck.
And by take his lumps, I mean take a point.
Yeah. Small lumps.
Yeah.
Bumps, if you will. Elder Deep Fiend. Now with Elder Deep Fiend, we'll take a look one more time at this one. Even though it is going to get countered by Oach-Dice command. The reason we'll take a look is because it's when you cast it, it doesn't have to resolve. So when you cast it, you get to tap up to 4 target permanents. Now, it did get countered, and Jack does get his 3-2 from the Foul Emissary dying to emerge. There you go.
Jack assembled the hard-to-find combo, some synergies here, a Foul Emissary with a creature with Emerge.
Yes. But after weeks of testing, he did find it.
How did you unravel that synergy?
Here's a Yapamaya.
Listen, sometimes you have to make the enablers obvious. It's okay. Just
he's going to lumber on over now. It's an attack for 6. Looks like Jeff's going to fall down to 17. And now pass that turn back over to Jeff. So let's see what Jeff's turn brings besides the planes.
And if you're trying to play the flash game, I'm sure one of the worst cards you can see is Lumbering Falls.
Yeah.
Hard to interact with and forces you to make the move first, which is not something a flash deck is looking to do.
But if Jack fires up that Lumbering Falls again, life might be pretty good. So we'll see. He's reaching. Going to start by playing a Plains. Maybe Sylvan Advocate pre-combat. Yep. Spell Queller. I wants to take care of that Advocate. This is going to get a little interesting here, I think. All right, it's on the stack.
And Jeff still with the requisite mana to cast the second Spell Queller in his hand or Archangel Avacyn.
Also has Clash of Wills as well, so this feels like the big turn.
You can see Jack definitely has Archangel Avacyn on his radar. I think that's part of the reason he wanted to resolve the Sylvan Advocate first, was so his Lumbering Falls would become a 5/5, and he wouldn't have to worry about Archangel Avacyn anymore.
Yep. All right, Queller, it's still out there. It looks like Jeff doing another copy of it, so now he's going to come in here for 2.
And 8 mana is a really good spot for Hoogland to be in. Spell Queller plus Archangel Avacyn backup. It's a lot.
Fogle will draw.
Against decks playing the flash game, you got to get your work done early. You need to get on the battlefield in the first couple turns of the game and force them to respond at inopportune times. Took Fogle a little long to get set up here, and you feel like every route that he can take here is a trap of some sort because Jeff's hand is so well suited to play an instant speed game.
And the thing that's uncomfortable about this is it almost feels like he's merely guessing now.
Yeah.
About what to play first, what to play second. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
I'm not saying that this deck is nearly the same power level as Fairies, but it's that same experience of, I don't know if they have Mistbind Click, I don't know if they have Cryptic Command, and if I guess wrong, and I am mostly just guessing, that's the end of the game.
Yep. It's a real punishment if you were wrong, that's for sure. There's a land for Fogle. Lumbering Falls coming in. Jeff moved real fast.
Yep.
Towards Archangel Avacyn. So we'll see if this will resolve or not.
If Fogle does nothing here, he gets rocked, and if he tries to do something, he also gets rocked.
And Fogle's got a Dromoka's Command's got a Reflector Mage, but not much past that.
If he has a second copy of Dromoka's Command as his third card in hand, then he might be able to get out of this combat okay. I didn't get a good look at what that third card was, but if he's only playing one Dromoka's Command here inside of combat, which Hoogland can catch with the Spell Queller, this is going to be a disaster for Fogle.
Yeah, it looks like Avison's still on the stack. And Jack is going to respond to the Avison trigger on the stack. So here is Dromoka's Command. Spell Queller it. Yeah, this is going to get it. Because I think he does have another Dromoka's Command in hand. So now I think this is just going to be a total mess. Bunch of Spell Quellers, bunch of Avisons, bunch of different things going on.
So if he has another Dromoka's Command here, it's interesting here. He could put a counter on the Lumbering Falls and fight the Spell Queller with Dromoka's Command, and then get the Dromoka's Command back, and +1/+1 counter and fight the Avison. So counter on the Lumbering Falls and use the 3/2 token to fight the Spell Queller. So then you end up with a 5/5 Lumbering Falls, and everything except the original Spell Queller is dead.
Yep.
Not the end of the world.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get modes on all this stuff, so I think we'll get a counter there, and now Dromoka. Yep, counter on the 3/2, so now it becomes a 4/3, beats the Spell Queller. Now Dromoka's Command goes on the stack that was underneath the Spell Queller, so now he's got to select the modes on what he wants to do with this.
Learning to play the Spell Queller game is going to be a huge part of being proficient in the standard format.
Yep. So now Command does a counter fight on the 4/3 Eldrazi Horror token, which means Archangel Avison, because remember, that was all with Archangel Avison's trigger on the stack, so that's gone. And now, here comes Jeff with the Spell Queller. So after the dust settles, what you've got there is a Lumbering Falls that has a +1/+1 counter on it. Jack Fogle 15, he's untapping. For Jeff, he's just got a Spell Queller that has sucked up a card, which is a Sylvan Advocate. And now we carry on. Jack might be thinking Lumbering Falls again. You see the way he's reorganizing his mana. Might also be thinking Reflector Mage, which he's had in his hand for a while. There is Reflector Mage. Spell Queller.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that card's probably pretty good.
Yeah. See a lot of this, I think.
Card's probably not too bad. Jack have another Spell Queller in his hand? Yes? Goodness. All right. Take a point. Reflector Mage, nope.
Okay.
That's not going to work either. All right, it's your turn. Jeff gonna untap and draw. That is an Anticipate. Look at the top couple. Mausoleum Wanderer.
Not a shabby pickup here.
Yeah, there are worse. You get to play that, leave up Clash of Wills. Doesn't get to present lethal just yet, but he's in a pretty good spot.
He's now drawing to a Spirit for lethal, which
Yep.
is why that's a nice draw.
Yeah.
Also means he might just win the race even if Fogle's able to find removal.
He's going to lumber on over. I think Jeff's just going to take that damage. Follow-up is Lambholt Pacifist. Doesn't do much. Draw a card here, will Jeff. Just a land. I guess Slamhole Pacifist isn't terrible. The reason for that is because, sure, it can't really do very much right now, but it does present a lethal threat in combination with the Lumbering Falls.
Yep.
Although
Although
it'll transform.
I don't think that's good enough there for Jeff to counter, given that he can just attack with all of his flyers, chump block, and then
counter whatever is drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mausoleum Wanderer is on defense. Now, the Pacifist, in theory, should have transformed, but Jack forgot it. And it's his card, so he's got to remember the trigger. So a bit of a mistake there. And Jeff is just going to show the Clash of Wolves that he has and says, I don't think there's anything you can do about this. So you drew a Reflector Mage. I swear I'm going to counter it. Yep. And for Pacifist, it's your own card, it's your own trigger. You can miss it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Wouldn't matter here anyway.
No, it wouldn't. So Jack's trying to figure out, is there a way from out of this situation? And by all indications, there is not. He will concede the game. So Jeff Hoogland's going to win game number 1 here over Jack Fogle. Blue-White Spirits, or we can change the name to Blue-White Spell Queller. Is that maybe a little bit easier?
It's a spirit.
Yeah. Does defeat Bant Company, currently up a game. So
he's got Rattle Chains. It counts. It's a spirit deck.
It does count. It does count. That game, it was a Spell Queller deck, though. That's for sure. So we take a look at the sideboards here for both players, and we are going to start with Jack Fogle. He's got a Jace Vryn's Prodigy to repel the Abominable. A Dromoka's Command, a Declaration in Stone, 2 Lambhole Pacifist, a No-Choice Command, 2 Tragic Arrogance, 2 Tireless Tracker, and then 3 copies of Negate.
So this is rough. He doesn't have a whole lot to bring with the table. Jeff's deck is not great at killing creatures, so I think the 1 Jace is an easy one, and I think he wants the additional copy of Dromoka's Command as well. After that, I mean, you can bring in the Negates, but Jeff is doing a lot of his flash game here with creatures, not spells necessarily. Probably on the balance, still worth bringing in, but not as good here as you would imagine it to be in a blue-white flash sort of game. I think the 2 copies of Tireless Tracker are great for Fogle in this matchup as well. Again, Jeff doesn't remove creatures very easily, and that creature can run away with the game very easily.
On Jeff's side of things, he's got 2 Blessed Alliance. That's a new one from Eldritch Moon, along with 2 Bygone Bishop, a Confirmed Suspicions, very expensive counterspell, 2 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, 2 Negate, 2 Planar Outburst, 2 Silk Wrap, and then 2 Summary Dismissal.
I think the extra copies of Planar Outburst are solid in this matchup, as are his copies of Negates. I would definitely bring in the 2 copies of Jace, and I am also interested in the 2 copies of Bygone Bishop as well. Fogle's deck is also not great at killing creatures, and Bygone Bishop in a slower game where it's not likely to die can accrue a lot of value.
Yeah, Bygone Bishop, I think, is a lot. There's a lot to like about that card in this matchup. It's almost a card that you have to Dromoka's Command because it can provide so much value and kind of plays how you want to play here.
It's sort of Jeff's version of Tireless Tracker in the matchup. It's well suited for games that are a little on the slower side and when the opposing player does not have a lot of removal.
Well, as these players do shuffle up here for game number 2, Jack Fogle will be on the play. So we'll get ready to watch that in just a moment. But let's talk about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, where you can watch the Versus Series archives, the Premium archives, the SCG Tour archives, and a bunch more. It's pretty cool stuff.
And again, you can head over to youtube.com/StarCityGames right now and become a subscriber and get notified when new content is uploaded to the page. And new content is getting uploaded there all the time.
We've almost got 100,000 subscribers. We're about a little over 97,000 now. So we're pretty happy about that. We want to thank everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube page and supported all the YouTube content we've put out over there, up to and including the replay of this match and a lot of other Jeff Hoogland matches, honestly, because this guy has been under the bright lights all year long, and deservedly so for the 25-year-old from Bloomington, Illinois, with his 15 open top 8s, 1 invitational top 8. No wins just yet, but as I discussed with him over on Set Talks, it's not so much about the win. He cares more about consistency.
At the end of the day, the top 8 it's 3 more matches. Random stuff can happen. I think people like to make a narrative out of someone who hasn't won a tournament with a lot of tournament success. I think it's silly. Remember Odin Turnwald a couple of years ago? The same thing surrounded him. It's obviously nonsense. You would like to have the trophy. It would be nice to have that sort of thing. But I think if you're as math-oriented as Jeff is, you understand that, yeah, sometimes you can just kind of run bad in your top 8s and not win, and that's no indictment on your tournament success.
For Jeff, we've watched him a lot this year. It's been almost a wire-to-wire race as far as the player of the year on the SCG Tour is concerned. He's been at the top or very close to the top all year long. And really, I think of so far, we're halfway through the year. And we've seen Tom Ross win back-to-back Opens. We've seen Max McVitie win an Invitational. We've seen some great things from Jerry Thompson, like his 15-0 through the Swiss. But honestly, this feels like the year of Jeff Hoogland thus far.
Well, at the end of it, you have the player of the year. It's a year's worth of work. And the top 8s, top 4s, those are still worth a ton of points too.
Yeah. Each player will start with a land that enters the battlefield tap. For Jack, it was Lumbering Falls. Now he's got a Prairie Stream. For Jeff, it's your favorite card, Old Port Town.
Yeah. And that's why I appreciate Jeff's build here of going a little bit bigger, because you are not going to curve out smoothly every single game when you play with so many lands that enter the battlefield tapped.
There's a Sylvan Advocate along with a Canopy Vista. And now Jeff will cast a copy of Anticipate. So we'll take a look at the top 3.
And Sylvan Advocate is a huge play here for Fogle. This was something he was lacking in the previous game early on. He needs to put Jeff under some amount of pressure and force Jeff to react to things and to play things before he's good and ready.
Port Town's going to reveal an island, and Jeff will just pass the turn back. Over to Jack we go. So Jack's got the pressure out there now. That's important when you're playing against a flash deck, and be able to chip away for at least 2, maybe more than that, depending on how his lands line up.
Sylvan Advocate's probably the best threat in the format against Jeff's deck, honestly, because it's something you can cast on turn 2 that over the course of a game, if Jeff is playing kind of a slow flash game and trying to set things up, eventually you get to 6 mana, and then it's a real threat. Also quite synergistic with Lumbering Falls, which is another card that's not the easiest for Jeff to answer.
Ah, Spell Queller. That's a 2/3 as well. Isn't that fun? No attacks there from Old Advocate now. Let's go back to Jeff's way. There's an island now, beatdowns for 2. He'll simply pass the turn back. Jack's going to sacrifice that Evolving Wilds. He'll get a land out of his deck, but it's only taken me a game and a quarter here. Spell Queller is no joke.
The big cost of Spell Queller, besides, it doesn't interact with 5s and greater, is if your deck is flush or removal, you can just kill it and move on with life. That's going to happen a fair bit. But these Banned Company decks, it's 3 or 4 copies of Dromoka's Command and then a sea of creatures and collected companies. They are very poorly lined up to fight this card.
At least in their current builds right now. They might have to change some things.
Yeah, I agree.
See how Jack wants to move forward now on this turn. He's got 3 mana. He's going to play a Tireless Tracker. Will that resolve? Nope. Nope. Nope, try again. And Evolving Wilds. And no attacks to be had. Let's go back to Jeff. He'll draw.
Jeff has a 5th land here, and Archangel Avacyn, we're kind of done.
Yeah, I think we might be, yeah. I think he might be missing land 5, so he's just going to play a Mausoleum Wanderer. You can see this one. Whenever another spirit enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So not bad. Maybe a little better than Judge's Familiar. I mean, they're a little bit different cards, but...
Yep. You can cast Judge's Familiar for a Plains.
Yeah.
I had a deck that did that once. The deck was not good, but it's a thing you're allowed to do.
Yep. It's a legal play.
Yep. Bird or an owl or whatever it is, so synergizes with different lords.
That's true.
Like Kangi, for example, does not work with Mausoleum Wanderer.
That's true.
But I would say on the balance, Mausoleum Wanderer definitely the more powerful card of the two.
Maybe a touch better. There it is. Creature type bird.
Bird.
I believe Keeper of the Nine Gales is a fan of the birds. Yeah.
I think Homelands had a bird lord.
I defer.
Soraya the Falconeer, I think is that the one?
I defer to your expertise of Homelands. See, I know the Keeper. You cannot fight the storm.
This is an atrocious design. It's like, I'm playing a bird deck. What's your bird deck? It locks you out of the game. If you don't have a terror, I'm going to bounce your land starting on turn 3.
Here's a Rattle Chains.
Ugh.
That is going to stop Reflector Mage from happening.
Really good combo with Spell Queller because your opponent needs to kill it, and then they can't.
Yeah. Here comes Sylvan Advocate. I think Jeff's going to take the 2.
Yep.
Yeah. The follow-up here is another Sylvan Advocate. Pass the turn back.
But you see Fogle's at 14, facing 7 in the air.
Oh, he drew another Spell Queller. Good draw.
Well, the issue now for Jeff is, I think, if Fogle has a Lumbering Falls and land number 6,
it's bad news.
It's lethal.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as simple as it would appear. Fogle may not have to cast another spell to win the race.
Problem here for Jeff is, he obviously would love to have that 5th land for the Archangel Avacyn. Makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
But he is not there just yet.
What is noteworthy here also, because you would think that you would fight this blue-white deck with negates. Look at what Jeff's cast. It's all creatures. And it's a bunch of creatures in the hand, too.
And actually, Jack has 6 lands. So he can actually fire up Lumbering Falls. Those Advocates are 4/5s. Okay.
I think he has a Spell Queller with which he can jump block.
Perhaps a card like Stasis Snare in hand. Yeah, so he's got some options here. Jeff's not sitting on E.
Yep. And Jeff does need to make a move with the Lumbering Falls to present lethal. Otherwise, Jeff can just take the 10.
Go to 2.
And he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
With Spell Queller still at the ready to answer Collected Company or some other threat.
And, of course, if you're Jack, you're thinking right now, okay, well, you know, Jeff's pretty good. Wouldn't leave himself dead on board. So...
yeah, I mean, this is the Fairies play pattern, right?
Yep.
My opponent has a range of instants. They all require different responses. They all do different things. And if I guess wrong, I die.
So here's the attack. And Jeff will take 10. He's going to fall down to 2. 2 is not 0. There's a land. Simply pass the turn back. And now Jack's going to try to bluff a little bit. But oftentimes when you're playing against a flash deck like this, when you try to play their game, they just do it better than you.
Yep.
You know? Jeff might be thinking about casting a spell here. Curious to see.
Well, the question that Jeff has to ask is, do I just have him covered with Rattle Chains plus Stasis Snare plus Spell Queller in hand?
Mm-hmm.
There might not be a range of cards that Jack can have to get out of this.
Well, here's Collected Company.
It's the last card in hand, too, so that makes it very easy.
Nope. And there's a third Spell Queller. That is going to do it. Jeff Hoogland's going to win this match here over Jack Fogle. 2-0. Blue-White Spirits will take care of Bant Company. And for Jeff, showing the power of Spell Queller.